Okay, so today we are doing my You Choose My TBR video for February, and I'm really excited to get to this video because the January one was a whole lot of fun. For those of you who don't know what my You Choose My TBR video is all about, basically what we do is we go back in time to see what I was reading then, and then you will receive the opportunity to vote on one of the books that we watch, one of the books that I read back then. For me to reread in the month of February. We do these videos a month ahead in time so that you have more than enough time to vote. So without any further ado, we're going to get right into it. Before we do, I just want to let you know of a rule that I had to come up with towards the end of my January, You Choose My January TBR, which was in the event of a tie, what would happen? If for whatever reason 2 or more books end up resulting in a tie with your votes, then the power will lie with me to make a choice between those 2 books that have received a tie. I just wanted to make a point that if you've seen the wrap-ups that I'm showing you, you would have seen that I had a number of books that I DNF'd. I don't include those in my You Choose My TBR because this is technically you're voting on books for me to reread, not books for me to complete that I've half read. So yeah, just letting you know the DNF'd books will not be included in this video. The book that I gave 1 star to is this one, R.L. Stine's Goosebumps, My Hairiest Adventure. No. So recently I did a Goodbye 2020 book unholding where I got rid of a ton of books. My Hairiest Adventure was definitely one of them. It made it to my least favourite worst books of the year video. So I'm not allowing you to vote for this one. Let's move on to the next one. This book by Stephen King is called Pet Sematary. Okay. This book I found out way after I rated this book, and it's clearly way after I read this book, that this book is not meant to be viewed as a horror, despite the fact that it is a horror by Stephen King, and it is considered one of the top 3 most scary books that he's ever written. But anyway, apparently this book is not meant to be viewed as a horror, and it's more a book that revolves around grief and how to deal with grief and loss. Yeah, Pet Sematary by Stephen King. So as you can see, this is a different edition to the one that I had in March. The one that I had in March I purchased from an op shop, but then I saw this edition and I just fell in love with the illustration on the cover. This edition is just really beautiful, and it really depicts the horror element. But anyway, if you can call it that. This book just did not scare me at all. It's Stephen King, and that did let me down. As I was saying in the video, subsequent to reading this, I came to find out that this is not really meant to be a horror per se. It's more a focus and study on grief and loss, which I completely agree with. Yeah, you can vote for this one. I mean, it'll be interesting to go back into this world and to do my reread knowing what I know now. The second book that I gave 2 stars to is this book, Pool Boy by Michael Simmons. No. So that's another one of the books that I unhauled. It is so incredibly character driven, and one of the really blessed things that I worked out about myself when it comes to reading in 2020 is that I'm not a character driven reader. I am a plot driven book reader. It drove me nuts. So you're not voting for that one. Stephen King's The Bizarre Stories of Bad Dreams. I don't want you to vote for that one either. I mean, seriously, like, okay, The Bizarre Book of Bad Dreams is a compendium of short stories. I don't have that book. It's one of the only books that I purchased from the library that did at least get 3 stars, that I did not end up actually purchasing a copy for myself. It has short stories in them. Some of them were okay. You know, it kind of just worked out to a 3-star rating. It was average. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But I don't want to go back and read those stories again. I feel like I'm good. And honestly, if you were to vote for this, I would literally only read the ones that I liked. And that's not the stories that I liked in that compendium. And that's not technically a reread. That is more of a selective reread. So I'm not going to let you vote for this one. Let's move on. The Night Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko. This is an adult fantasy book. Again, I don't want to reread it. Wow. I thought that I had a good month, but at least with the books you've seen so far, I don't want to reread them. The reason I don't want to reread The Night Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko is because I did not enjoy the plot. I thought the culture of the book was really amazing. It was wonderful to be doused in so much Russian culture. I loved it. Because The Night Watch is set in Russia. It's a fantasy book, but there is so much Russian culture littered throughout the book, and I really appreciated the cultural references and the cultural experiences that we got to have in the book. But the plot itself just wasn't, it just wasn't the plot for me. Yeah, so I don't want to reread this one either, so we just move on to the next one. This book that I've already told you many times I don't like the cover of, but yeah, we'll just leave that there. This is Frostbite, which is the second book in the Vampire Academy series, and it is by Rochelle Mead. This book continues the story of Rose Hathaway, who is a Dampier, Dampire, Damper, call it what you will, who is a guardian in training to protect the royal vampires who are known as the Moroi. Yeah, Frostbite by Rochelle Mead. And as you can see, I did go ahead and update that edition. I really did not like that edition that you saw in with Past Mr. Francy, and I unhauled, I think I had Vampire Academy, Frostbite, and the third book in the series as well, and I unhauled all three of them with my books that I unhauled from 2020 in January. Look, you know what? It's been a really disappointing You Choose My TBR so far, so for the sake of the fact that it has been disappointing, I'll add this one to the list. I think, from what I remember, which is not much about this book, to be honest, the first 3 quarters of this book are rather meandering. The final climax was pretty good, and it inspired me to go on and read book number 3, which I loved from cover to cover. So look out for that next month. You'll definitely be able to vote for book 3. I'll let you vote for book number 2 for Frostbite. Yeah, it's on the list. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I'm personally categorizing this as an LGBTIQ+ YA fantasy. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Okay. I just don't know what to say. You know what? Look, the plot of this book was good. It was one of my first looks at multi-perspective books. So it took me a moment to really understand how multi-perspective books work, because we have a ton of different characters that we are following. But I really enjoyed the plot of this book. What I did not enjoy was the magic system, because the magic system is waving a wand around and your incantation, what you vocalize, is a nursery rhyme. And I just found that to be incredibly immature and unoriginal. I wish, well, I mean, it's original for the sake of I haven't seen anywhere else, but nursery rhymes already exist. Why couldn't you come up with something that hadn't? And I feel like almost anything else would have been more exciting than a nursery rhyme. But we're going to go with no. Okay, because it's going to annoy me too much. So you can't vote for this one either. We're doing really well, aren't we? Bot Wars by J.V. Cade. Now, this book is a middle grade sci-fi book, and I don't remember what my cons were about this book, so feel free to go and check out my review that I did on this one. Again, spoiler and spoiler-free, starting off with spoiler-free. But there was a reason why I couldn't give it 5 stars, and I'm still trying to remember what it was. Bot Wars by J.V. Cade. Oh my gosh, this is... I have a lot of nostalgia for this book ever since I did read it last year. I read it for the first time last year, but I've continually thought about it because this was my introduction into science fiction. I'm not someone who ever read science fiction prior to reading this book, and despite the fact that it's a middle grade, I think this was the best decision I could have made to begin my sci-fi journey, because it's just a whole lot of fun with a whole lot of different things that go on along the way, and there's an epic journey that we go on, but it's not a quest, so, you know, we're good there. But We have a lot of robots, obviously, bot wars. We have a lot of robots in this world, and they all come with their own personalities, and I just love them. There is a character in this book, a robot by the name of Scissors, who I absolutely love. You know what? You can definitely vote for this book. Mistborn's second book in its series, The Well of Ascension. So in January, I had heard a lot about the Mistborn series and about how amazing this book is if you like high epic fantasy with amazing world building and hard magic systems. In February, I purchased the trilogy, which the first book is The Final Empire, this is the second one, and the third book is one called The Hero of Ages. Mistborn, The Well of Ascension. Funny story. So, with the You Choose My January TBR, I allowed you guys to vote for Mistborn The Final Empire, but because I was planning on reading Mistborn The Final Empire as the final book I read in December, I said that if you guys voted for that one, then I would reread this book in January. You did vote for Mistborn The Final Empire, so I am reading this month in January. And I'm going to continue on with that trend because I love Mistborn Era 1 so much. You can vote for Mistborn The Well of Ascension. If you do, then I'll read The Hero of Ages, okay? I'll continue on with my Era 1 reread of Mistborn Era 1, and yeah, absolutely loving it at the moment. I'm about 2 hours away from finishing my graphic audio version of The Final Empire, so then I'm going to read some other books, and then I'm going to get onto this one. But you can vote for this. It's just if you vote for this one, you're technically going to be voting for me to continue on with the series and pick up, as I showed you before, The Hero of Ages. But yes, definitely you can vote for me to continue on with this. And guys, please do. Don't vote with me in mind. You vote for what you want to see me read. But if you want to vote with me in mind, please vote for this one. That is a hefty fella. Okay, it's 550 pages long, it is a tome, and yet it's a middle grade, which surprised me when I first picked it up, thinking, 550 pages, there's no way this is middle grade. But it is a middle grade. You can tell that with the writing style, and you can tell it with the plot and the way that things happen with this book, I suppose. The Hero of Olympus, The Lost Hero by Riordan. Oh my gosh, I love this book. Arguably my favourite middle grade that I read in 2020, which is saying a lot. For a middle grade, it is massive. It is over 500 pages long, but I really love this book. I'm not confused as to whether or not you're going to be able to vote for this, because I'm definitely going to let you vote for this book. I'm just considering what I'm going to do if this book wins, because part of me wants to reread it, and part of me wants to read the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series, because after reading this and loving it so much, I went on to read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I thought it was okay. Then I went on to read Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, and that really disappointed me. Like, oh my gosh, I did not enjoy that at all. But maybe I could just, continue on with this series. So I don't really know what I want to do yet with this one. So what I will say is, what I'll say is this. If you vote for this book and this book wins, then I'll do a double header. In February, I will reread this book, but I will also go against my goals video for 2021 and purchase book number 2 in the series, and I will add it to my TBR for the following month. So I'll read Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero in February, and I'll read book 2 in this series in March. Evermore, written by Alison Noel. Now, this is the first book in the Immortals series. Oh, wow! Evermore! I love having moments when I go back and rewatch these monthly wraps that I did, where I go, oh, that book, I forgot about this. Yeah, I really loved this book. Now, there was a really big issue for me with the remainder of the series, and I'll let you in on why. I listened to Evermore as an audiobook, and so if I'm going to listen to book 1 as an audiobook, I want to listen to the rest of the series with the same medium. So I want to listen to the rest as an audiobook. Audible Australia can sometimes give you a little bit of a preview with the series and then cut you off. And that's what they've done with the Immortals, because that's what it's called. It's called the Immortals series. That's what they've done with this series. Audible Australia have given us Evermore as an audiobook we can listen to, but they don't have the rest of the series available. So that's kind of annoying. If you vote for this book, I'm not planning to continue on with the series, but I will definitely reread this because I loved this book. I loved this world so much. And that's it. That's all of the books that I read a year ago. So wow, let's go back and look at them all again. So you have 6 books that you can vote for. Pet Sematary by Stephen King, which I will reread if it wins. Frostbite, Book 2 in the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead, I will reread if it wins. Bot Wars by J.V. Cade, I will reread if it wins. But if you know of an audio version of this, let me know, because I would love to listen to it now that I have physically read it. The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, I am going to be rereading this month in January. So if you vote for this one, I'll continue on with the series and read The Hero of Ages. The Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. If you vote for this one, I will reread this in February, and in March I will read Book 2 in the series. And Evermore by Alison Noel. If you vote for this, I'll reread it in February. So, these are the books that you can vote for me to reread. Now, how do you go about voting? Well, there are 2 options. One, in the description below, I have a link to a Google Docs. Click on the link, it takes you to a page where you can click on the book you want to vote for. I wanted to have the voting available here on YouTube, but YouTube have taken down the voting options, the voting poll option to put it in your video. So that's really unfortunate, really unfair. I had a bit of a tanty about that, but we'll let that go. So instead we have the Google Docs. So just click on the link in the description below and you can go over there and vote that way. Or you can go onto Facebook and join the Facebook group Passion for Books. I will be putting the poll up there at the moment that this video comes out as well. And you can vote over there also. But in the meantime, that is where we're going to leave it. Wow, what a month. And so many no's from me. Like, nope, you're not voting for that one. But we also had some really good ones as well. So I'm glad that I stuck it out. I'm glad you guys did too. But in the meantime, that is where I'm going to leave it. Letting you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'll see you again soon. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching. And happy reading!